So anime filler arcs have always been some of the most hated and most complained about arcs of all time. Whether that be the 400 or so filler episodes of Naruto that we all had to sit through back in the day, or the needless 3 or 4 filler episodes of Goku screaming at Cell that we got back in Dragon Ball.
That's incredible!
They've always been considered a pointless pain that we used to have to sit through to save animators budget and time for upcoming big fights. And in recent seasonal anime such as Solo Leveling, they've all but been removed altogether. Which, while that leaves us with each episode being core content and action, it also leaves us lacking in the ability to grow to care about the characters and the story that we're watching. So I believe we need filler arcs to return to seasonal anime, and in the next several minutes of this video, I'm going to explain in incredible detail exactly why that is. But first, a quick disclaimer that the idea for this video actually came about from Shonen View, who actually made an incredible video speaking about the death of filler in anime. His video will be linked below so you can check it out if you haven't done so already. But now, by removing filler from anime, you of course maintain a story of action and drama, which of course is great, and I for one am someone who loves a flashy fight scene in every episode that I watch. But like I already briefly mentioned earlier, I have also noticed from not only myself but from others online who review anime weekly that the care and passion around new series and characters has dropped drastically. You no longer experience that same feeling of relatability and sadness from the characters and scenes that you're watching. And of course there's a number of reasons for this that aren't just filler related, but I do believe while there exists other reasons, none are as big and impactful as the loss of the dreaded filler arc. Because while being trapped on Long Ring Long Land with the Straw Hats was utter hell, it made the crew feel more fun than serious, which also in turn makes them feel much more human, which of course then later helps us to feel the same pain that they feel in a scene such as this one. You see, we felt every bit of the pain that Luffy felt in that moment because at this point in time, we've been with him through every step of his story. Not just the big flashy fights against Lucci and Arlong, but the pointless moments of him walking in the woods of Skypiea singing away without a care in the world. You see, Luffy and the Straw Hats, for many of us fans, don't just feel like characters in a story. They feel more real than that. And I don't mean that in some weird weeb-like way that we see them as real people. No, I mean it in the sense that what they experience not only makes sense to us, but also kind of relates back to us. As if what we've seen them go through up to this point was something that we also went through with them. I guess what I'm saying is the story of One Piece works perfectly to make the viewer feel as though they're on some sort of adventure with the Straw Hat crew. And to just stay with One Piece for 1 second longer here, I also want to point out that while many do write off filler arcs to be pointless and total shit, one of the best and most popular arcs in the entire 1000 episode series is actually the G2 arc, which is from start to finish completely filler. Why this was? Well, there's a number of reasons for that. It was short but paced perfectly. It had a meaningful future tie-in to arcs such as Enies Lobby and even Marineford, which of course if you remember came much later. And sure, while I'm speaking from a place of bias being a One Piece enjoyer, I do think One Piece has some of the best filler arcs in all of anime history. And if current seasonal anime use them as a benchmark for how good filler can be done, I see no reason why good filler couldn't return in the future. But now while that was an example of how good filler can be handled, I want to touch on some reasons why Naruto's filler missed the mark completely. First off, with over 40% of its original series being filler, it immediately falls under the banner of bad management. Because this all but killed the pacing and left fans waiting years to see the manga story continue in Shippuden. And then it also all but ignored the main story and had Sasuke reappear in many of the filler episodes post his leaving of the village, which also in turn just left many unaware viewers wondering what the fuck is even going on. And is he still a part of the village or is he not? But then also around episode 180 something, we got a filler episode called Laughing Shino, which was basically an episode dedicated to Shino uncontrollably laughing, which if you've seen the show, you know is completely off-tone for his character, and something outside of this episode you would never see him doing. So while good filler can be used to build up the side characters and make them develop for the future of the story, bad filler basically does the exact opposite, and at times reimagines those characters into something that really isn't all that good. But now while we all know Naruto for having some of the worst filler in anime history, it also did something with its filler that when looking back, leaves many of us wanting more. You see, it was long and it did drag on for what felt like forever, but it also made characters like Neji, Kiba, Rock Lee and even Guy become more alive. They weren't just characters in the background of Naruto's story that lived in the village, they became much more. And it's because of that fact that when we got that scene with Neji and Naruto during the war, we all just completely broke inside. Like, I for one am man enough to admit that this scene in particular is one of the first anime scenes to ever make me cry actual tears. And to this day, just looking at this image alone makes my heart ache a little inside. And this is all because I sat through and suffered watching him and Naruto go on some pointless filler adventure. Because it was during that adventure that he became what Naruto already was. A character that was not only worth watching, but someone that I grew to care about. Which is why Naruto's filler for the most part needs to be remembered as more than just the bad times. Because now that it's over, I'm just sitting here like many of you, wishing I had more. But now none of this is to say that modern seasonal anime are bad in any way. And in fact, many of them can be considered better than anything that we ever got before. Like, the characters are still just as entertaining and the stories can still be just as fun to watch. And then when you top that off with the quality of animation that we're getting in some of the recent anime such as Solo Leveling and JJK, it's hard to truly argue against the current seasonal model. And I guess when it really comes down to it, what I'm really arguing for and what I really miss is the break in between. The time when we'd venture away from the core story and cast to just find a bug that was supposed to help find Sasuke. Or the time when we'd see Naruto and the gang try to find some weird way to unmask Kakashi. Because this break, while at times was long and something we all hated, was what had us on the edge of our seats waiting for that next big fight scene. Because honestly, and I don't know about all of you, but I find this constant stream of fight after fight that we seem to get in every anime season to just be a bit too much at times. And something I'd honestly prefer them not to do. Like, I'm not arguing for 400 plus episodes of filler like we got in Naruto. I'm arguing for some fun, pointless adventures where we just see the characters being themselves and having a bit of fun. Because like I said, that not only makes me care about the characters, but also just gives me a mental reset and prepares me to be excited for the next big thing. But now with that said, I do feel like I've rambled on for far too long at this point. Which I guess, given the topic of today's video, actually fits kind of perfectly. But I do think it's finally time to end. So I'll leave by saying one last thing about the loss of the anime filler arc, and something I think all of you need to realize. So while this new model of seasonal anime is fun and has more action and content provided in it, its loss of passion and meaningful progression from many of its characters is only going to get worse with time. And while that's something I really hope doesn't happen, it's something I can see as inevitable. So I'm just going to take it upon myself to go back and enjoy Naruto's 400 plus filler episodes while I still care about anime at all. And honestly, I urge all of you to do the same. But now with all that said, that's going to do it for me in this video. I do hope you all enjoyed and have a great day or night wherever you are, and peace.